morning. I'm Jose Travado, Executive Director of the City of Chicago's Office of Emergency Management and Communications. I'd like to welcome everyone to OMC. We're here today to discuss the forecasted cold temperatures heading our way and to provide an overview of services offered by the city in response to these conditions. The National Weather Service of Chicago has issued a winter storm warning in effect until Saturday at noon, and has forecasting heavy snowfall along with wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour and blowing snow later this evening. If you must travel, use extreme caution and use a snow-plowed emergency vehicles. Our coldest weather of the season so far will arrive on Saturday afternoon and continue into next week. A cold front is expected early Sunday through Wednesday, including below zero temperatures. There's also the possibility of negative 20-degree wind chills each morning from Sunday through Wednesday. OMC is working directly with the National Weather Service and will monitor conditions, coordinate response efforts with the city departments, and issue notifications to residents regarding any advisories, warnings, or emergencies. Residents can sign up to receive notifications at chicago.gov/OMC, and they include Notify Chicago, ShyLake, and ShyBill. We encourage residents to create a smart 911 profile to provide 911 and first responders with emergency information specific to you and your household that can get you the help you need for emergencies. To create this profile, simply visit smart911.com. As the city braces for the winter weather, we encourage you to check on neighborhoods, family members, pets, and friends, particularly those who are elderly and have disabilities. Staying connected is key to being safe. Before leaving the house, please be mindful of forecasted cold temperatures, snowy conditions, and high winds. Motorists should take extra precautions and have necessary supplies on the go. Taking preventive actions is the best way to stay safe from the risks associated with winter weather. When both seeking shelter from the cold, call 311, visit 311.chicago.gov, or download the Shy 311 app to be connected with available services to learn about the city's designated warming centers, which you'll hear more about from the Department of Family and Support Services. For information on winter safety, weather conditions, preparedness tips, emergency alerts, and access to the Chicago Plow Tracker, I encourage everyone to download the Chicago OMC app, follow us on social media, or visit chicago.gov/OMC. I would like to thank all the City of Chicago departments, agencies, and organizations, from our call takers to dispatchers, to all the workers who are in these extreme cold conditions. We all come together to keep Chicago safe, not only during the winter seasons, but all year round. Every day, 24/7, OMC's goal is to maintain safety and security for every resident of the City of Chicago and all populations, including the new arrivals. And now I'd like to introduce Brandon Kanazi, Commissioner of Chicago Department of Family and Support Services. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Executive Director Tirado. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Brandy Kanazi, and it is my privilege to lead the team at the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services. As you know, nearly every year, the City of Chicago experiences bitter and harsh winters, and sometimes even dangerous weather. Throughout this upcoming storm, DFSS will provide assistance to our most vulnerable residents with the help of warming centers, transportation to shelter, and response to well-being check requests. We have activated warming centers at our 6 community service centers, which are open weekdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. when temperatures are at or below 32 degrees. Anyone seeking respite from the cold can access these centers for warmth. Those who will need overnight shelter can work with staff who will help connect them to available shelter by calling 311. Our Garfield Community Service Center, located at 10 South Kedzie, is open after normal business hours to connect residents to shelter. With freezing temperatures expected over the weekend and on the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, the Garfield Warming Center will be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Our 10 drop-in centers for youth and adults will have expanded hours and also serve as warming centers. DFSS remains committed to supporting unsheltered residents. During this cold, during the winter months, DFSS works with more than 50 delegated agencies to provide shelter and ensure that homeless individuals remain safe. DFSS has added an additional 317 shelter beds to our system to provide shelter to individuals during this winter season. Although the majority of our shelters operate 24/7, all of our remaining 6 overnight shelters will remain open indeed for 24 hours, Saturday through Wednesday. Transportation to shelter is available to residents in need, again by calling 311. During the day, when temperatures are below freezing, in addition to our community service centers, there is also a network of city facilities, including park districts and libraries that are available to residents to find relief. To find your nearest park district field house, please visit chicagoparkdistrict.com. Again, that's chicagoparkdistrict.com. For more information on warming centers and to find the hours of your libraries, visit the Chicago Library System at chipublic.org. Again, that's chipublib.org, or you may call 312-747-4300. And for our DFS Warming Center addresses, residents can call 311-211 or visit the Chicago Department of Family and Support Services website at chicago.gov/FSS. Again, chicago.gov/FSS. And they will receive our flyers in Spanish, English, and Polish. Residents in need of other cold weather supports, including food, shelter, and other housing supports, can call 211. In addition, over the next several days and nights, 2 DFSS homeless outreach teams and 7 community partner teams will be out visiting encampments across the city during the daytime and evening hours, performing well-being checks and connecting residents to shelter. This number will be increased next week. In addition, please remember it is not illegal to be homeless or to live on the street, and DFSS cannot force anyone to take shelter. I also want to be clear that during the expected extreme cold weather, new arrivals who have received a 60-day notice will not be required to leave shelter for the next week. Individuals who were set to exit between January 16th and 21st will be able to remain in shelter until at least January 22nd. We will continue to reevaluate this situation and prioritize safety. More information on the 60-day policy is forthcoming. For our elderly residents, DFSS also activates warming centers at our 21 senior centers. When temperatures are at or below 32 degrees, these locations will be open weekdays from 8:30 to 2:30 p.m. I want to encourage our seniors to stay home if you can and avoid the dangerous road conditions during this period. Please pick up your prescriptions and run any needed errands prior to bad weather coming on. If you experience a life-threatening emergency, please call 911. Our home-delivered meal drivers are committed to ensuring our 8,200 seniors who receive meals during the week will be able to receive their food, and will also check on seniors by performing well-being checks. Those who wish to sign up for home-delivered meals may do so by calling 312-746-4016. Again, that's 312-746-4016. Additionally, robocalls have been made to over 37,000 seniors to inform them of the upcoming inclement weather. I encourage everyone to check on your friends, family, and neighbors to make sure that they are okay. A simple call can mean so much. I know if a senior whose health, safety, or general well-being is in question, please call 311 to request a well-being check, and we will send a team. You can also go to 311.chicago.gov. We will send a team to check on those seniors and make sure that they're okay. Now I'd like to bring up my colleague, Dr. Ige from the Chicago Department of Public Health.
Thank you, Commissioner Kanazi. I am Dr. Simbo Ige of Chicago Department of Public Health. I will be giving you some practical tips on how to stay healthy during this period and how you can also help. I will start with those who are older adults. Now, if you have a heart disease or heart condition, we want you to remember that physical activity during cold weather puts an extra strain on your heart. So we want you to avoid, if possible, shoveling snow and other strenuous activities at this time. For other people who have disabilities or are not able to get to a warming center, please call someone beforehand, schedule a wellness check-in with 311 so someone can check in on you. I have an 85-year-old mother. I am going to be sending her a text today and tomorrow and on Sunday and on Monday. So if you have older ones, loved ones, people with disability, we want you to reach out and check in on them. Simply ask, do you have heat? Are you doing okay? Do you need help? That makes a world of difference in situations like this. If you're walking on the streets and you see someone on the sidewalk, someone in the streets, please ask them, do you have somewhere to go? There are warming centers, and you can help share this information with them. We also want you to protect children. Playing outside in the cold for long periods can also take a toll. So help keep them indoors as much as possible. It is challenging as parents to keep kids from running around, but it is extremely cold, and frostbite and cold can also increase respiratory viruses. We want to remind folks that getting vaccinated is still the best protection against respiratory viruses, so it is not too late to do so. If you haven't had your vaccines, this is the time to do so. We wanted to pay attention to your daily needs. Drinking water right now is really important, so drink warm beverages to help stay warm. Make sure you have supplies of water or canned goods at home during this time. Ask older members of the family, neighbors, friends, if they haven't heard, to keep water stocked at home and to keep canned food stocked at home in case they're not able to go out and get these supplies. It is good to have first aid kits, blankets, medical supplies at home instead of having to go out in inclement weather to get these supplies. It has been in the news. COVID, flu, RSV is increasing, so we want to take extra cautions right now. Wear masks if you have to go out, and when you're indoors with many other people, wash your hands and take all necessary precautions. But again, getting vaccinated is the best protection that we have at the moment. Finally, I want to remind us that public health is about the public, and we can do this alone. We want you to look out for friends, neighbors, family members, pets, colleagues, those who are on the streets, older adults particularly, and those with disability. Thank you very much, and I'll call on Commissioner Salad for please.
Thank you, Dr. Ige. Good morning, I'm Cole Scholar, Commissioner of the Department of Streets and Sanitation. At Streets and Sand, safety is our top priority during any winter storm. In fact, we start preparing for winter storms over the summer. This includes maintaining a fleet of over 300 vehicles so we're prepared to respond to situations like today. We also have more than 400,000 tons of salt on the ground, and we have 287 spreaders out working right now as we speak. The snow fleet is addressing snow and ice along Chicago's arterial streets, along with the South Lakeshore Drive. So we make sure that those main streets are safe, passable for our emergency vehicles, our buses, and our passengers and our visitors coming into the city. DSS staff will continue to monitor ground conditions and adjust resources as necessary. Please check the Department of Streets and Sanitation Facebook and Twitter accounts for deployment updates. You can also access snowplows in real time at chicagoshovels.org. I'd also like to remind residents the city's overnight parking ban has been in effect since December 1st, running through April 1st. Parking is restricted at 107 miles of the city's main roadways between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. regardless of snow through that time period. That's a time for us to be able to get those sites cleaned all the way to the curb. The city implements this ban to help ensure the roads are safe and passable for emergency vehicles, public transportation, and other folks. Please double check all posted signage before you park to avoid being ticketed and towed. I'd like to kindly ask residents to please keep snow away from the streets when they're out there shoveling, businesses when you're out there shoveling. Please try to put it on the parkway at every possible point you can, versus throwing it out into those streets. I'd like to take time to also give a big thank you to the city departments. This is not just Streets and Sand alone, it's CDOT, it's water, it's the whole approach. The people at Fleet keeping these vehicles going, OAMC offering us this opportunity to get our message out. I'd like to thank, this is all hands on deck here. At this time, I would like to introduce Matt Baudet, Commissioner of the Chicago Department of Buildings.
Thank you, Commissioner Stoller. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming to share this important life safety information for Mayor Johnson and with our fellow Chicagoans. And happy MLK weekend. I'm Matt Baudet, Commissioner of the Department of Buildings. The Department of Buildings enforces the Chicago Heat Ordinance, which requires landlords to provide heat to rental units. The ordinance requires the temperature to be 68 degrees from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. and 66 degrees from 10:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Landlords face fines of up to $500 to $1,000 per day per offense if they do not provide heat. System malfunctions are no excuse. Landlords are required to have their systems working and provide heat. Throughout the year, we always tell the landlords and building owners, check your HVAC systems, make sure they're working, do routine maintenance, and if there's any problems, fix it immediately. If you are a renter and your landlord is not providing adequate heat or no heat at all, please contact 311 to report the matter, and the building department will go out. We have inspectors out on the weekends, and we have inspectors out on the holidays to serve our residents. We also routinely coordinate with our other departments, Department of Family and Support Services, in the rare instance where we have to relocate families because the heat cannot be restored in time. Along with the fire department, I want to stress, do not use ovens or stoves as heating. Do not put your family in danger of fire or carbon monoxide poisoning. We're all here to help, as Commissioner Stoller says. We work as a team. We're here to serve you. Also, please do not attempt to remove snow from your roofs. Chicago roofs are built to hold snow. With the threat of dangerous conditions and high winds, exterior construction should be limited. Contractors and developers are already been told to secure their fencing, secure their materials in case of high winds. If you see a tower crane spinning in the air, that's actually normal. That allows the crane to not come under stress and fall. So if you see a tower crane spinning, don't be alarmed, that's what they're supposed to do. Along with the Department of Water Management, please make sure that there's heat going through your buildings and your homes. That prevents your pipes from freezing. Run a little bit of water every now and then on all the fixtures so that you've got a water flow in the pipes and the pipes will not burst. If pipes do freeze, please never use candles or open flames to fix those. Feel free to use heating pads or hair dryers. Owners of vacant buildings are still responsible for maintaining their properties, clearing the snow off their sidewalks, and making sure that their buildings are secured and maintained. Finally, I want to reiterate the thoughts of Mayor Johnson and my colleagues. This is an all hands on deck. We have well-established protocols for this, as we do every single year. So we have experience with extreme weather, and we know what to do. We work as a team to get all this done. And please remember to check on family and friends, neighbors, especially seniors and folks with disabilities, and keep your pets inside. And again, we are here throughout the weekend and throughout the holiday to serve the residents of Chicago. That's our job, and we're happy to help. Please call us. Do not rely on yourselves to try to get through this winter storm. Thank you, and now it's my pleasure to introduce Bill Quinones, He is the CEO of ComEd. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Gil Quinones. I'm the president and CEO of ComEd. Winter weather has impacted a number of ComEd customers. So far, our ComEd crews have restored service to 114,000 customers system-wide who were impacted. Currently, weather-related outages are affecting 28,000 customers in the Chicago region and a total of 76,000 customers across northern Illinois, ComEd service territory. Restoring the current outages and any future outages is our top priority. As in any storm, ComEd will prioritize critical facilities for restoration first. That includes hospitals, nursing homes, and first responder facilities. I want our customers here in Chicago and the area to know that ComEd is well positioned thanks to our hardworking line workers who are always at the ready when we face storms. Currently, we have additional ComEd crews who are working to quickly and safely restore outages in Chicago and system-wide in northern Illinois. For customers experiencing an outage, we urge you to contact ComEd immediately in any of the following ways. By texting OUT, O-U-T, to 26633. Again, that's O-U-T to 26633. Or you can call 1-800-EDISON-1, that's 1-800-EDISON-1. For Spanish-speaking customers, you should call 1-800-95-LUCES, L-U-C-E-S. And you can also report the outage through our website at comed.com/report. Finally, and importantly, public safety remains paramount as ComEd crews perform work in your communities. If you spot a downed wire, please assume it is energized and report it immediately by contacting 1-800-EDISON-1. Please do not approach or touch any downed wires if you see one in your home or in your vicinity. Thank you. And now I'd like to bring up our partner in government, Fire Commissioner Mansell.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
As winter weather sets in and temperatures drop, your safety remains our top priority. Here are some critical winter safety tips to keep in mind. Make sure your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors are functioning. Smoke alarms can give you that extra time needed to make a safe escape. CO detectors can warn you of carbon monoxide, which is a silent killer and very, very deadly. Recently, we transported 9 people from a home on the south side where a faulty heating system caused a backup of carbon monoxide. Fortunately, all survived. If you need to use a space heater, use it wisely and safely. Plug it directly into the outlet. Do not use extension cords and keep it at least 3 feet from anything that can burn, including bedding and furniture. Never leave a space heater unattended. Our furnaces, of course, will be working harder to keep our homes warm. If you have not already done so, please make sure your heating plant and water heater have been inspected and that there are no combustibles near them. Never use generators or grills indoors, and never use your oven or stove top to heat your living space. I grew up with my parents doing that, and that was not good. Don't leave candles or open flames unattended, and keep them away from curtains and other combustible items. If you must go outside, dress warmly in layers and cover exposed skin to prevent frostbite and hypothermia. And remember to limit your time outdoors. We have not seen cold weather like this since 2019. So to ensure you can reach us, if you need help, keep your cell phones charged in the event of a power outage. While we are seeing our first large amount of snow, we ask that when shoveling, help us. Help the Chicago Fire Department and Police Department. We ask that when shoveling, keep the hydrants clear and the entryways from snow so our first responders can gain access immediately, because we will take a little bit more time to get to you. Most importantly, look out for one another, especially for vulnerable community members, such as our seniors. We have added additional assets to assist assist us with the anticipated weather and responding to calls for help. So by following these winter safety tips, we can work together to help minimize risk. The Chicago Fire Department is always here when you need us. Thank you, and now I have the honor of bringing up our Mayor, Brandon Johnson.
Thank you, Commissioner Holt. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to all of our commissioners and the entire team for preparing for a safe winter, an entire safe winter season. I want to thank ComEd and People's Gas, National Weather Service for being here today, and of course, for you all's commitment to the city of Chicago. I echo our city leadership today in saying that we are ready with services and resources to keep residents and our new arrivals safe this winter. Every department, as they have explained, has their specific roles to play, from DFSS, warming centers, to DSS, snow plowing, and everything else in between. The full force of government is committed to the people of Chicago and new arrivals in this season. I especially want to reassure everyone that we are utilizing the full force of our entire city to support the new arrivals. My administration, along with mutual aid organizations, community partners, and intergovernmental partners, all of us have been hard at work to coordinate shelter and provide food, hygiene, healthcare services to our newly arrivals. The last check yesterday around 8 a.m., there were a little over 200 new arrivals at the landing zone. That number is now down to about 140. So there are still awaiting temporary shelter placement. At present, there are 10 warming buses at the landing zone. We are prepared to place additional buses as needed. The landing zone, we provide a variety of services. The warming buses, as I indicated, blankets, warm clothing, as much information as we possibly can provide for these individuals, meals, medical support, medical care, and of course, our state migration services that are helping to resettle families through Catholic Charities. Local outmigration, migration, those services are being provided by New Life Centers, and of course, CPD is presenting and is constantly present at the landing zone. That's 24/7. The city helped to secure private funding to cover meals in the landing zone through Shy Care. This is an organization that the city has been coordinating meals and meal efforts since July 31st. OMC, Shy Care, New Life Centers are working together to deliver those meals and snacks. And so far, they've already provided 4,000 meals in the past 2 weeks, just at the landing zone alone. When it comes to hygiene care, OMC will begin to continue to coordinate with Chicago Park District so that new arrivals can be transported to the park field houses for showers. For healthcare needs, CPH is engaging volunteer healthcare providers with mobile medical services who can travel to the landing zone and provide health screenings and urgent care for those individuals who have that need. CDPH is also funding shelter-based service teams to provide on-site clinical support for any of the medical needs that could arise there. Furthermore, CDPH mobile teams are providing vaccinations as indicated for the flu, COVID-19, varicella, and they're all doing this at various shelter settings. With the help of Catholic Charities and New Life Centers, we are working to increase our capacity for resettlement and to expedite the process of moving migrants from landing zones into temporary shelters. Once they're in shelters, there's the 60-day state policy, of course, is a policy that we put in place, but there are some exceptions to that policy, particularly during single-digit temperatures, as we are expecting in the next week or so. So to be clear, we're not evicting new arrivals out in the cold this winter. Our mission is to continue to live up to our values as we welcome new arrivals. We'll continue to meet this challenge, but though we're leading this incredible challenge, we still do need help from our partners. I'm grateful to the mutual aid groups that are providing support this moment, our faith community as well. That also includes, of course, the different levels of government, county and the state. So I'm really grateful for all the support and aid that we have received so far. Many people continue to ask how we can be helpful. We truly could not meet this moment without the partners and all the amazing Chicagoans and all the leaders who have stepped up during this very difficult time. Though we've been at this work for more than a year now, this is not the time to let up. This is the time for us to continue to demonstrate who we are as a city. With the cold weather and And of course, the snow, we have to double down on our efforts to remain steadfast in our commitment, particularly for this important mission. For our new arrivals and our neighbors this winter, let's do what Chicagoans do best. Let's extend love and kindness and support to the families that love this city. So the city of Chicago, we're here for our residents and our new arrivals. And we're going to continue to meet the needs throughout this season. So for any residents who need support, please don't hesitate to call 311. You can go to the website 311.chicago.gov or download the Shy 311 app to get connected. Thank you all very much for being very patient with us today. At this point, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Mayor. Happy New Year. Good to see you after a few weeks here. About the new arrivals, I know that the number is down to 100 and something, but at some point this week was close to 400. We spoke with some of these new arrivals. Some had been there for several days. Some were saying they were only getting one meal a day. They hadn't showered. Is this acceptable? And also, what is the specific plan for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when the temperatures will be 0 and below 0?
Yeah, well, three things. As I indicated, Shy Care is providing meals at the landing zone for the last a couple of weeks. And mutual aid support continues to help meet those demands. The coordination that we have continued to provide is in full effect as well. So we're going to continue to coordinate with the park districts so that showers can be provided, as I indicated earlier, CPHs, other with healthcare and hygiene support. This is an evolving crisis, as you know, day to day. In the midst of the last portion of the crisis, the police districts where families were being dealt with. So we cleared those stations out, and obviously provided with 28 shelters now, 15,000 individuals for temporary stay. But we are working hard every single day to meet the limit of this demand, particularly as, of course, we don't have any control over the bus flow that's coming throughout the entire region. But as you know, I'm bringing mayors in from around the region so that we can have more of a coordinated response and provide some relief there. Now, I know the state has made a commitment, as you know, for shelter. The governor back in November, I believe, indicated an appropriation as well as a commitment to 2,200 beds. So we know those first 200 are online. We're going to continue to work with the county and state to meet the demands of this very evolving crisis. Thank you.
But is the bus situation acceptable? Is that
It's a temporary, look, it's a good question. It's certainly not acceptable for the governor to continue to send people to the city of Chicago. We're meeting the moment, and this is what I said, I believe, back in August. I said it back in May as well. Without the federal government stepping in, this mission is not sustainable. We're doing the very best that we can out of the city of Chicago with mutual aid, our faith community. The full force of government is on complete display here. We want to provide as much care as we possibly can for these families, and we're doing just that. And as this crisis continues to evolve, the full force of government is going to respond and step up to do everything in our power to give these families an opportunity to have a life in Chicago or wherever else they live.
There seems to be a mixed message, however, Mayor. Today there was a note that was distributed at a briefing that says that the city has paused opening new shelters since December 22. Is the city able to? Do they have the money? Does the city have the money to open more shelters? And have you asked the state for help? Because I've been told the city has not asked the state for more help to open more shelters. And the landing zones look as if they've become a shelter when that was not the original intention.
Yeah, could you read, there were three over there, Mary Ann, if you don't mind. What was the first one?
So there was a note distributed today at a briefing. It says, as of 12/22, the city has paused opening new shelters.
Yeah, so no, we have not opened up a shelter.
And where's the money gonna come from? The state says you haven't asked them, and is the landing zone, in a sense, a shelter?
Well, yeah, it's obviously well documented that we have not opened a shelter since December. And, as far as the coordination between my administration and the governor's administration, we've been very clear about the type of support that's needed. In fact, the state's done a really good job at resettling, I believe, upwards of 10,000 families, and we continue to do that work. We appreciate that. Unfortunately, because more buses are coming at the rate at which they're coming around the region, the outflow to to resettle families have not been able to keep up with the influx. As far as the landing zone is concerned, it was never designed to be a shelter. That's why we're working very hard to get people in the temporary shelters. Again, that number has continued to drop, and more buses continue to come in, and full force of government continues to move people along. But again, I'm grateful though that we have Chi-Care, another mutual aid support, CDPH, DFSS, all of us are working together to meet this demand.
But is there just not any more money right now to open?
Well, no, look, I've appropriated $150 million in this year's budget. We were not graced with that type of support from the previous city council. As all of you in this room know, the previous city council did not budget for the 2023 minor crisis. I think, corrected, I think they appropriated $5 million. And we built an entire operation without a budget being appropriated, with obviously a governor that is from Texas that is committed to chaos. Stood up 28 shelters. Our CEO of Chicago Public Schools is here. 5,000 children in our public school system. CDPH continues to provide health screens, infectious disease control, working with the county to set up appointments for long-term care. I've said it repeatedly. Local government is not designed to handle this type of crisis. It was never designed or built to do that. But yet, here we are. Over 600 buses have arrived, 855 planes, private planes are being chartered. But I continue to provide structure and coordination around this operation, bringing everyone together to meet this need. We're going to continue to do the very best that we can to respond to this ongoing crisis. And that's what our plan is all about, to make sure that we're providing temporary support and shelter, providing health care. Now we're educating families. Again, this is unprecedented. This has not happened to this scale. I don't believe ever. I'm a social studies teacher. Someone can, fact check that and do some work citations. I'm happy to admit that statement. But this is unprecedented. As you know, I think you heard the governor of Texas the other day that said that he is trying to implement everything at the border except for murdering. Those were his words, because he didn't want to be charged with murder. I keep trying to tell you all this, that man ain't right, but for the city of Chicago, we are. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, it's been mentioned that we call 311 for almost all the things we might need during this weather crisis. We also know that the city staffing isn't what it once was. The police department's down a number of people. Can residents expect a slower response to calls for 311 service, for other services during this cold wave because of the city's financial condition?
What you can expect is a dedicated, committed staff, people who live in Chicago, to respond to this crisis. And of course, the volume is going to continue to increase. Everyone is here, it's committed, and working this weekend during the holiday as we celebrate Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Our facilities will be available 24/7. We're ready for this. It's Chicago. We've been through challenges before. We're going to step up and lean in to one another. And the last thing I'll say is, you heard the collective call here. I've always said this: we cannot do it alone. We can't. We need the support of all Chicagoans to step up and lean into this moment. And Chicago has never let me down, and I'm not going to let them down.
You mentioned the MLK holiday. That gives you a little bit of breathing room as far as the schools go. Is there any consideration that because of the cold, we might be closing schools next week?
That's it. Thank you, CEO. That's an ongoing conversation. We'll continue to assess that. I know this though, that the first lady had boots and comes out this morning, so if the Johnson kids can go to school.
Hi, Mayor. I have a question for you and a question for CEO that I can hold until after. But volunteers have, decried conditions at the landing zone. I'm sure you're aware with some reporting, migrants aren't able to find food or take a shower. I hear, really coordinating with the parks on that. But volunteers said at police stations, they've at least, developed systems to help facilitate some of those services. Is sleeping on a bus better than sleeping in a police station? And can you say whether the city's reevaluating this 60-day policy altogether, or thinking of turning to base camps once again in the longer term?
Yeah, we have not, discussed moving forward with base camps. Look, this is not an ideal situation either or. I appreciate the question, but I just want to make sure everybody understands what the decision point is. police stations on the floors with buses. That chaos is being caused by the governor of Texas. He has put the entire country in that situation. Look, there are no easy decisions in all of this. Now, as far as the coordination, we will continue to coordinate with mutual aid and other individuals who wish to support this mission. This is hard on the entire country, but it has not stopped us from working. You know how hard it is for the country. Congress hasn't acted. They haven't even done anything. It's like they're paralyzed. My administration isn't. Look, a couple months ago, there were 4,000 people in police districts. Everybody was asking, when are we going to get rid of that? We got rid of it. People were asking about how we're going to educate children. 5,000 children are being educated right now. People were asking about what about these families and how do we resell them? 10,000 families have been resettled. Now, as I've said repeatedly, 30,000 asylum seekers from Ukraine in the city of Chicago. No one even knows that they're here. That's fine. What's the difference? Why is support coming for Ukrainians, but not from people from Central and South America and the continent of Africa? You know, Mayor Eric Adams, 70% of migrants in the city of New York are from the continent of Africa. But this is an international global crisis, you all. I'm just saying that we're a global city, but in the context of this effort, make no mistake about it, this is an international crisis that requires federal intervention, of which local government is subsidizing that money. Never designed to do it, but yet here we are still standing. And just know that my administration is working day in and day out. While at the same time, we have not stopped moving my agenda. $250 million for the unhoused, $100 million for violence prevention, paid time off for workers, abolishing sub-minimum wage. You know, we continue to do the work. My administration has been more prepared for this moment than I think anyone anticipated. This is an evolving crisis. We continue to evolve with it. That's why I'm bringing mayors together around the state. And we continue to work with the state, with Governor Pritzker. We continue to work with Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle. And we continue to work with the people of Chicago. So, look, you're right to ask that question. It is an unfair decision point. Outside police stations, buses. That's the chaos that Buddy from the governor wants to engender. We're going to do our very best to provide structure and some coordination around this mission. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor. Happy New Year. Regarding the 60-day shelter policy, have all 50 migrants who are supposed to exit next Tuesday, have they all found alternative housing by now? And if not, is that a concern?
Look, the concern is that, you know, there are some limitations to what we can provide. That is a concern. And you know, as I said, I appropriated $150 million for this mission. And I want to do more. You know, all the things that this city has faced over the course of decades, I wish I could solve it all in 8 months. I wish. You know, but you know, the harsh reality is that there are some limitations to what government can do. I'm grateful that the philanthropic community is leading and provides some support. You know, but we're going to make some exceptions. The weather is harsh right now, so we're going to make some exceptions to that policy. Go ahead, it's fine.
Without more help from the federal or state government, does the city have the capacity to keep the existing 28 shelters online, open for the rest of the year?
We have $150 million that I've appropriated for this mission. Now, as you all know, that we spent $138 million from 2023. I'm going to work hard to stay within the confines of that budget and continue to meet the needs of this ongoing, evolving crisis. And you know, you're right. The federal government, Congress, has been disappointed in this moment. I had a conversation with the White House last night, thinking of some creative ways in which we can provide some investment in this moment. I'm talking to everybody. I'm talking to alders, I'm talking to mutual aid, I'm talking to philanthropists, I'm talking to business leaders. When I was a child, my mother said I talk too much. Boy, if she could see me now.
Hello, Mayor. I want to ask about the meeting that's coming up with the suburban and other cities' mayors. What's the ask that you're going to make to them? Because up to this point, it seems that the response from the suburban communities at best has been to help people get to Chicago and not be anywhere else?
Well, there are a couple of good examples, I'm a glass half full person, so, University Park and Oak Park, they've stepped up. And there are other villages that are doing similar work, but just doing it unannounced, so I'm grateful for those villages that have done that. But as I said, local government is not designed to handle this type of crisis. It's not built for that. The city of Chicago, we have literally built an entire shelter system, an entire, structure around this crisis. But they ask, I need more voices, leaning on Congress. We are gonna ask, some villages to think creatively about how they might be able to support, whether it's 20, 50, 100 people. We're gonna pull our expertise together. Perhaps they have ideas that maybe we haven't considered. I know a number of them are responding to our ordinance of providing some more structure around how buses can arrive. In fact, the city of Chicago's model is being used around the country. Look, believe it or not, you all, I don't know if this provides you all with comfort, but people around the country, people around the globe, I just spoke with the mayor in Canada and talked about what Montreal has done using warehouses as temporary shelters. They're calling us, they're calling our health department, our public safety institutions, OMC, about how they can better provide some structure around this very chaotic situation. But talking with these mayors it's what I do. That's what I made a commitment to bringing people together. What better time to do that? And now the impetus behind it too was not just the ordinance and the impact that Governor Abbott's very mean, evil-spirited approach to this border crisis. Despite that mean-spiritedness of how he's governing right now, Christmas Eve, the Friday before, 80 mayors were on a Zoom call. I thought it'd be 7 or 9 or 10, 80 mayors from around the region, asking how we can come together. So we're going to keep doing that. That's some reason to be at least optimistic that the spirit of Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable is still alive in the region.
Next question.
Hey, Mayor, do we have a rate of how many migrants are leaving our city-run shelters before the 60-day limit?
I don't know, do we have that ready? Yeah, Brandon, yes.
Good morning, Brandon Conley, Commissioner for DFSS. So right now, we have approximately 7,842 new arrivals who have received a 60-day notice. Of those who have received a 60-day notice, close to 1,200 are connected to rental assistance and are working towards that. We also continue to have people that are leaving before the 60-day notice. I think your earlier question was about how many of the 50, so there are only 17 left, and all 17 are connected to rental assistance.
Thank you very much. And just, keep in mind, thank you for that question, 10,000 families have been resettled thus far on this mission. Other questions for me?
Hi, Mayor. I want to jump back to discussing the landing zones real quick. Is there a time frame that people can expect to be staying there? Is it going to be days, especially with the storm and this cold coming up? And what's being done to ensure that they're clothed, they have good shoes, they're prepared, on their own person for this weather?
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's really disheartening that many of these migrants are showing up in the city of Chicago from Texas without that type of support. There's no health screens at the border, no vaccinations, they're not processing people. They're not even telling people where they're going. And so when they arrive, some of them are very extremely vulnerable situations. And so as I said earlier, at the landing zone, food, clothing, blankets, hygiene, support, showers, all that's being native up at the landing zone. But it was never designed to be a shelter. And so, your question about how long, we're working to limit that to the greatest extent possible. It's not the ideal set of circumstances, but again, I've always been open and very direct and transparent about this process. There's an entire website dedicated to this mission that I'm working hard every single day with the full force of government, philanthropy, business leaders, to move people along as quickly as possible. Are there other questions for me? All right, thank you all very much. You all are in good hands. Happy New Year.
Hold on, Commissioner.
Thank you for sticking around. Mr. Martinez, I just have a couple of questions, if you could, thank you. So my first question is, we've gotten several reports that the power's out at a handful of CPS schools.
Yeah.
Can you give us an update on that? Obviously, that means no heat, and also, can you talk to us a little bit about the decision to go ahead and have school today?
Yes. So, so first of all, just on the just the decision to start school today, we have a responsibility that I take very seriously about our commitment to families. For me to cancel school, there's parents here in the room, I can't do that to you with a very short notice. Now, if the city was shut down, if something was out of my control, that's a different story. We have been monitoring, we've been partnering with OMC, looking at weather conditions. Everything that we saw was that this morning we felt confident in our school being open. Of course, we watched the afternoon. Because of that, we actually were possibly not even sending out to families. Notice that we are canceling after-school activities today, anything that we manage in our school buildings, because basically we'll have our school buildings closed, as well as Saturday activities that are in our buildings. So I want to make sure I'm really clear on that. So any activity that we manage, that we sponsor, that will be in our buildings, that would occur after school today or tomorrow, we are canceling because of these weather conditions. What we've seen is, as the hours get later in the afternoon, it does create a risk for us, and we just feel that's just in the best interest of our children. In terms of beyond that, we also are letting families know that we are going to also make sure that we're going to be monitoring weather conditions all weekend. So that my team and I are going to be working all weekend on this, working also with OMC. We won't make any decisions about activities. By the way, we have activities on Monday, even though it's a holiday. We have MLK activities, we have sports activities. We'll be making those decisions as early as possible this weekend, because our fear is, as we look at coming into Monday, now we're looking at wind chill, we're looking at temperatures that may create other challenges for us for Monday. And of course, we'll look at Tuesday to see if we need to make any decision on Tuesday. We'll make that decision this weekend. One of the clarifications in terms of activities, there are some activities that are not in our building. So for example, tomorrow we have about 600 students taking our assessments as they're applying to our academic centers. That is at Illinois Institute of Technology. That is still going to continue. We checked with IIT. They're fully confident that we can still have that. So in those kind of instances, there's some state supported sporting events that are not in our buildings. Some of those will continue. Again, if families have specific questions, please reach out to your school or working directly with your principals. In terms of power outages, we had this morning about 30, including annexes. Most of them have been recovered. There was one school that we had to actually cancel classes and actually have the children go home as well as staff, and that was at Lozano Elementary School. I even made a stop it before I came, just to check in on everybody. What our process is, everybody, is that whenever we have a school that has a power shutdown, we always have an alternative school for children to go to as well as staff. In the extreme situation that alternative school also is having power issues, that's when we make that decision. So far, we've only done that at one school today, that was at Lozano Elementary School. All the other schools, we're working with ComEd. Many of them are already partially up. But again, we always make sure that children have somewhere to go as well as their staff.
I don't mean to be rude, but thank you for answering that, but I have to leave.
Sure. Sí, estaba diciendo que para mí algo que tomo muy serio es lo que la responsabilidad para apoyar a nuestros padres. Y nunca vamos a cancelar clases con poquito tiempo, porque sabemos qué pasa con sus padres. As I said, I have a huge responsibility with parents. I'm not going to cancel classes in an extreme situation because I know the impact they have on families. Pero también sabemos que en la tarde vamos a tener más riesgos. We also know that in the afternoon we're going to have more risk. Y por esa razón estamos cancelando los programas después de la escuela que está pasando en sus edificios y también programas que están pasando mañana, incluyendo deportes. So as I said, because this afternoon we are seeing more risk, we are canceling after-school programs that are happening in our buildings, as well as including sporting events, as well as tomorrow. Si hay programas que van a tomar, todavía van a estar mañana, que no están en su edificio. Por ejemplo, tenemos 600 niños que van a tener un examen para que están interesados en los programas de los centros académicamente, los academic centers. So like I said, there are some programs that will continue tomorrow that we're not in our buildings. We check with our partners. Those buildings are going to be safe, just like the children that will be testing that are interested in our academic centers tomorrow.
Thank you for all that info. My question is actually for Commissioner Stallard. This is the second winter storm to hit this area this week, so I was looking to just get some more insight on the hours, the shifts that your crews are working right now. I mean, it has been a long week for sure. And then I also wanted to know, in terms of Saturday, planning into Sunday with snow plows, you know, the freezing temperatures are really going to dip. How will they be out there trying to treat the roads, especially with the slushy, wet roads because of those temperatures? Lastly, how can the public best assist you during this time?
What the public best assist us, again, when you're clearing the sidewalks, please clear your sidewalks, please check on your elderly, please check on your neighbors. When the kids are out there shoveling the snow, the businesses are out there shoveling the snow, put it in the parkway versus on the streets. In regards to the folks out there working, again, my hat's off to the mechanics. We have to keep the fire department rolling, we have to keep the park district rolling, the water department rolling, fire department. The mechanics that are spending the time there, and my hat's off to them. As far as our people, this past week, we've had a couple misses, where the weather just didn't come as anticipated by us, and it just didn't show up. But this one, we were pretty, the forecast was pretty right on, where, you know, we didn't see much overnight. We had people on overnight, and then as of 5 o'clock this morning, we looked pretty good on our main streets, and then we just took that cover on the south side by 6 o'clock, and by 7 o'clock, the whole city was covered. So we have 287 plus spreaders out on the street. We're going to maintain that because as we came in here, the main streets look pretty good. We started working on our curb lanes in our centers. Our goal is to, if we continue this break, is to get around those schools before the kids get out so our buses can come into play safely and get these kids back to where, and people where they got to be. And the afternoon is going to be tough due to the fact that the snow's supposed to kick up again. You know, our goal is always, you're going to have one bad rush hour. We ask for people's patience. 2 rush hours, you know, it's either really bad or we didn't do something right. It's just the timing of this thing. It's another rush hour.
And then just a quick question about the free Saturday night and how you guys can best assist those clearance.
Yeah, the goal is, because SALT is really working at its top, right now it's working great, as we all saw, I'm sure, while we were riding in. The goal is to get to those neighborhood residential streets before that real temperature takes a dip. But we'll have people on all weekend to address 311 concerns. So if your street got missed or you need that extra service, you know, we'll have people out all weekend to handle those concerns. Thank you.
I have a question here for the fire commissioner. I know that you mentioned from our newsroom, I know you mentioned that there were additional assets being brought in for the storm. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that specifically?
Sure. So, number one, we canceled the variances, so all our fire companies are fully manned. We put up additional ambulances in different communities because we know that the response times are going to be a little slower due to the driving conditions, and we want all our members to get there safely to help the citizens of Chicago. So we have them spread out strategically, and if we need additional resources, we'll keep evaluating it to adjust as needed.
This question's for OEMC. I know the mayor mentioned the mutual aid groups. I spoke with them this week. They feel there's a real lack of coordination between the mutual aid groups and OEMC at the landing zone. They pretty much feel like they're not welcome there. Can you address that?
Our mutual aid partners are 100% coordination process for the landing zone. We have a great relationship with them. We're doing great work. TRICARE is also doing great work with us as well. All that we ask is that we have coordination and planning so that we can get those efforts, and not just, not anyone who wants to help us. OEMC is asking right now, come through us so we can coordinate those efforts. That's all they're asking.
So, just so I,
So don't just come to the landing zone, contact OAMC first before you plan on dropping off whatever, food, clothes, et cetera.
That would be very, 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 very helpful to all of us.
Commissioner, is it Kanazi? I'm sorry if I mispronounced. Can I ask you about, can you just, and you probably talked about this before, but the 60 days, what happens if they still have nowhere to go? And I understand you're gonna say there's a pause right now on that with the bad weather, but even when those 60 days and the weather's better, what's going to happen?
So leading up to the process, we're continuing to work with new arrivals to work with them on a number of things. One is diversion, to understand, do they have family and friends that they came here that they can connect to and be, can we assist them of going to where those family and friends are so that they can go there? We're also working with them and the state on rental assistance through Catholic Charities to make sure that, you know, people who qualify for rental assistance are able to do that. I think once we exhaust all of our different options, you know, that's part of the evaluation of the 60-day policy. Before that extension process rolls out, that we'll be doing, but right now, we've really paused it through the 22nd to understand the cold weather conditions and what will come next.
I just have a question for Gil Quinones from ComEd. Can you give us an idea of why we are seeing so many outages? I mean, usually we know big storms, violent things, yeah, it happens. But what are the problems that we're seeing now, and are there any concerns moving forward as we get into a hard freeze? Go from what we have now to what we're gonna have.
Usually the main cause of an outage are wind gusts. So when there's wind gusts and coupled with wet snow, it takes wires down, branches down that hit our lines. As I said, we have already restored about 114,000 customers. About 192,000 customers were impacted in our entire service territory. So we have about 76,000, 78,000 that we're working on right now. The storm window, as we call it, there will be waves behind this. It's probably not going to be over until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, so expect additional outages while we are doing our restoration. But as I've said, we have about 1,700 line workers deployed, working hard in Chicago and other parts of Northern Illinois, and we are obviously want to restore power as quickly as possible before the cold weather comes in on Sunday.
one more question.
I actually have a question for Commissioner Kanazi and CPS CEO Martinez. How many migrants, in addition to the 50 who have been in shelter since 2023, are expected to leave the shelter next week and will now have until January 22nd?
So here's what I can tell you. So what we're expecting were that there were going to be about 649 people who will need to exit the shelter system on the 22nd. So that includes 32 people who were already expecting to leave on the 22nd, plus the additional 617 that need to also do that. So that's the total. I think again, you know, there are a number of people, there's some people who are connected to rental assistance like the 17. Case managers are working with individuals, so they've been doing check-ins at a 30-day check-in, a 2-week check-in, and a couple days before, and I think we're gonna continue to do that and really assess over the next week what our next steps will be.
Okay, so of those 600 plus, how many already have a place to go? You said
Well, so again, that's the 17 that are connected to rental assistance. They're at some phase of the process, right? Maybe they submitted an application, maybe they're waiting for their utilities to be turned on. You know how it is when you're going through the housing process, like it can take a time, and so people are going through that process.
Thank you. Hi, CEO Martinez. Some questions from our education team. Do you know of any schools where so many teachers are absent that principals have students in cafeterias or auditoriums today?
No, but we know that attendance is varied across the district, and as the suicidal in some cases. We were principals all morning today, just hearing was kind of concerning. We weren't hearing anything that was alarming to me, but we do know we have some schools with over 80% attendance, and we have some schools that are closer to 50% attendance. So remember, we have 133 campuses. What I appreciate about our district is that if a family doesn't feel like their child should go to school, they have that option to do that. Our commitment to those families is that we'll make sure that they have academic support, so that we'll have some makeup work for them. But I didn't hear anything alarming. Again, it was timely that we had these two different webinars with our principals, and we were listening to what was happening out in the field. Nothing alarming. More concerns about this afternoon, which is why we made the decision about after-school programs and also supporting tomorrow.
Okay, and then does CPS have any reports, I know you talked about power outages, but reports of any heating systems that aren't functioning, especially with frigid cold next week?
Yeah, so no issue, so again, it's all interconnected. The schools that we have the biggest concerns are where we have the power outages, and some of them are, for example, Lozano is a school where everything's electric. And so those are those that we're watching. In terms of heating issues, we're constantly responding. And in fact, we're going to be doing a lot of work over the weekend, monitoring those systems. Specifically, I think it'll be a much bigger issue for Monday and Tuesday. And so that's why we're going to be doing that prep work over the weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.